The other issue obviously going on right now is the hearings on voter ID. And I'm happy that the Justice Department got involved a little bit. As you know, I requested that they do so. But I have a letter here that I received a copy of this letter. And I remember reading an article, I think it was in the Inquirer, may have been in the Post-Gazette, about the Department of State advising people that they, who are on a list or maybe ineligible to vote, they're going to send them a letter and advise them of this. Well, this letter came to me, I got it and read it, and if you read it, all it says is that we want to have people vote. Well, I took this, I paid no attention to it, I'm surprised I saved it. Clearly this is a joke. This doesn't tell people, does not advise them at all that their right to vote is in jeopardy. You've read it. This is what they sent out. So if they're saying they're going to make people aware, I don't know, Brad, if you saw this letter, to send out to people advising them that they've got a problem, you know it doesn't do that. It didn't do that. I looked at it and thought they sent it to everybody. I was on a phone conversation there. People were telling me, it's a shame you're on the list. Are you going to be able to vote? You're kidding around. I said, what are you talking about? I said, didn't you get a letter? And I had to think about it. And so I got a letter, but it said nothing about my right was in jeopardy. And that's because, I guess when I was 16, I didn't want to be called Francis. So my license has Frank on it. I don't know how that happened. And I'm registered as, it's Frank J, and I'm registered as Francis J. Now,
did you change that, by the way? Have you done anything about that?
No, I haven't done anything about it yet. I don't know if I will. The point is this, too. That's going to be left up to some worker at the polling place to decide whether or not I can vote. So these poor folks, who will be liable criminally for a crime, committing a crime, if they let me vote. Now, I've been voting at the same polling place 28 years.
There aren't really guidelines on that. It's just at the discretion to say whether Francis and Frank are the same person.
Yeah. There are no guidelines. There's nothing. If you've been listening to the hearing, you saw the Secretary of State come in yesterday, had no idea. I mean, God bless her, but she testified she didn't know what's going on with the bill herself. The administration doesn't even know how to handle this. This is obviously they threw it together quickly. They passed it. It was a political agenda. It was their right-wing agenda. They wanted to get this for political reasons. It had nothing to do with fraud. They stipulated that the voter impersonation fraud has never happened in Pennsylvania. That's part of the court case. They stipulated to that. So we're going to spend millions of dollars implementing the law. This is totally, as we've always said, completely unnecessary. And, if you want to have an ID, I don't think it's necessary. You have to show an ID to vote the first time. You ought to end up passing legislation that makes sense, that's doable. This certainly is not ready to be implemented in November. There are so many problems with this bill, and you're seeing that all, and it's being, obviously the testimony at the hearing is verifying that. And this letter, to let people know, I mean, this is a joke. They should have saved the postage. It would have saved millions of dollars there.
Politically, do you think the whole issue is backfiring?
Well, it's starting to. I think people, polls are saying it's close, but people think we need voter ID. Well, people think that until they understand what the issue really is. They had no idea that their spouse would not be able to vote, or the things like we've just discussed. Like in Pittsburgh, I believe that Sophie Masloff doesn't have a voter ID that works. The county executive's wife. I mean, you go down a list of reasons why they're ineligible to vote, never dreaming that this could happen. I mean, people understand that. They're going to understand why this voter ID law is a scam. It really is about politics, not about preventing fraud. It's about what the majority leader said. It's about electing Romney for all the wrong reasons. For preventing people, suppressing the vote, preventing people from voting.
I think the budget has $1 million in state funds and $4 million from this federal money to implement this law. Do you think that's enough?
Clearly not. I mean, guys, this is going to be, you've seen this hearing, it's in disarray right now. It's August. By November, this certainly won't be ready for prime time. It's not intended to be. What it was intended to do is suppress votes, and it's going to do that. And it's going to wreak havoc and cause all kinds of confusion at the polling places. And we didn't have it in the primary because we had about, depending on where you were, from a 15 to a 25% turnout.
Do you think the legislature will be, as far as appropriating more money for this, would that become an issue?
I don't see that happening at all. No. I mean, the governor's cutting $149 million from the poorest of the poor. I don't know. We're going to put more money into this sinkhole so we can prevent more people from voting.